usually have a query that when you are asked with UPSC questions, there are various terms. For example, evaluate, elucidate, examine, critically examine, justify, compare and contrast, illustrate. So what is the difference between these type of terminologies and what exactly you have to mention when you are asked questions on this? So today we would bring in just 7 important terms that are part of your question paper for UPSC. That is evaluate, critically evaluate, examine, critically examine, analyze, discuss and elucidate. So let's begin with them one by one. The very first one is evaluate versus critically evaluate. Now when you are asked to evaluate, what do you include? You include the positive points, you include the negative points. There are also strengths and weaknesses that must be included in the answer. But very important thing that you must keep in mind. When the question asks about evaluate, there is no interdisciplinary approach that is required. For example, if the question is on recession, you have to focus only on the economic implications. Need not to dive into social implications. You have to evaluate only from the perspective of economics. Very, very important. No interdisciplinary approach is required. However, when you do have critically evaluate, now evaluate, advanced form of it we can say is critically evaluate. So under critically evaluate, one very important thing that you need to take into account is you are including everything what is under evaluate. Okay, so that's the first thing. Now on top of it, what else do you need to include? You need to have an opinion, but that should be an unbiased opinion. Not only this, there should be a kind of redressal or a solution that you can provide to the existing problem, and therefore this is an innovative step or an innovative part which is required in the answer. So when the question says critically evaluate, that means you have to have a solution to the problem, a redressal mechanism for any issue, and that should also be innovative. That is, you are trying to bring in something from your own side that could help solve the problem, right? For example, if I say Industry 4.0 has been a bane for employment opportunities. Now, what could be the redressal? We can't say that, okay, no more AI, no more developments, stop technological growth. That's not a way out. But what could be a way out? What could be the innovative solutions through which employment and employability could be increased is what you must mention there. The next is examine versus critically examine. Now, when it was evaluate, you were trying to bring in positives, negatives, strengths, weaknesses. Examine means probe. Probe into the issue and probe deeper as much as you can dive. So it's like diving under the ocean. Now, when you are diving under the ocean, what are the things that you must look for? The cause, the effect and the implications, if any. Now, again, when it is critically examined, all this is already there. But on top of it, what you can do here is not just the redressal mechanism, but the course of action that you would take. So this would be a little different as per what could be the efforts on the part of the government or the authority to bring in successful changes, and basically how does it actually bring difference to the masses, and that is where we say critically examine. So examine is not about discussing the positives, negatives, the strengths and weaknesses, but it is probing about the same topic deeper and deeper, and then using or analyzing the cause, effects and implications, and then examining it in an overall format. The next is discuss, analyze and elucidate. Now these three terms are actually far apart. Elucidate is clear, detailed description on any topic. So you are asked about any topic, you write simply about that topic. For example, elucidate about monsoon in India. Now when you are talking about elucidating about monsoons in India, you would say yes, India is a monsoon land, but how would you elucidate? You would say there are primary factors that affect the monsoon, secondary factors that affect the monsoon, and then you would explain the primary factors and the secondary factors, and that's how elucidate runs. So it's a clear cut explanation and a clear understanding of the concepts. When you are analyzing, you understand the concept similar to elucidate, but you break your answers into fragments. It's not just explaining the monsoons under one or two factors, but you explain how it has been affecting the Indian continent. What are the other countries globally which are being affected by monsoon phenomena? What are the factors that affect monsoon in Indian mainland, and how this phenomena is changing over the time? Okay. Or let me take another topic. Let's say I take a topic on water crisis. Now water crisis, why this crisis occurs, why is it increasing over the years, why the problem of interlinking of rivers has not been solved, what are the factors that India face, and what are the global factors which are seen, and what could be the opinion. So when you are analyzing, you do bring in opinions, right? These could in certain cases be a biased opinion, but we would definitely prefer an unbiased, less extreme form of answers every time. Now when you are discussing, you bring in interdisciplinary approach. Let's say it's water crisis, the same topic, right? On the same topic, when you are talking about the issue, you are not just mentioning the environmental concern, you are also mentioning how it would affect the socio-economic life of an individual, and how there could be political issues across nations, or cross-border issues, or interstate issues that can arise because of water scarcity or water crisis, the methods in which water crisis can be resolved. So probably bringing or moving on to the traditional methods of Johats or Virda can be some of the ways through which this problem can be resolved. So that interdisciplinary approach should be in mind. I take another example. For example, we talk about the persons of Indian origin or overseas citizens of India, and then we say Pravasi Bharati Divas. So if we talk about Pravasi Bharati Divas, we talk about the PIOs, the OCIs, then we must explain what are the economic implications and how international relations are being affected, what are the ways through which they can actually contribute to India's growth, and India as a nation can actually facilitate itself from those who are residing in other nations part of the India's nationality. So those are some of the important ways in which we frame the answers. As you look on each and every term, you try to understand what kind of questions can be asked, what could be the intricacies in these topics, and therefore reading every term is important. There are just 20 questions that you have to answer for your UPSC, but those 20 questions would significantly make a difference. So that's what we try to find when we are evaluating your answer copies. If you have any questions, do feel free to connect back to us, and do follow the links below for more information. Thanks for joining in today.